February 2nd. Tonight is our Edgefield County Council meeting for February. I'd like to welcome each one of you here. Appreciate your participation. We'd like to start the evening with a prayer, and we've invited Reverend Eldwin Griffin from Mount Alpha Baptist Church in Ward to come and open us up in a word of prayer. If you would, please rise.
Let us pray. Eternal God of mercy and grace, let me thank you for all that you have done for us in our lives. And those who are present, we say thank you. Thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge, and most of all, your understanding. We ask, God, that you provide your wisdom for the best decision for our county. And again, thank you for our county government. All of those persons who are involved here tonight, we ask for your special divine blessing. We ask for health, strength, and your divine compassion as we develop plans to move forward for our county. We ask that you be in our midst. Let me thank you also for remembering our citizens, our nation, and our world as we face this pandemic. We ask you, God, for a healing blessing. All of those citizens that we've lost here in this county, their families, we ask that you strengthen them. It's in your name that we pray and ask it all, because we believe it all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. You join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. For the sake of COVID-19 and our spacing here, I'm going to ask if either one of you are opposed to me taking my mask off, so I can be heard. Okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion tonight to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Motion has been made by Vice Chairman Talbert and seconded by Councilman Campbell. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Agenda passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and we noticed a couple of things that we would like to adjust, so I'm going to make a motion to continue approval of the minutes of the January 12th, 2021 regular meeting of council to our March meeting.
I second that.
Okay, thank you. Motion has been made by myself, seconded by Councilman Ireland. Is there any discussion? See none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. We do not have any guest speakers this evening, so the next item on the agenda is comments from the public, and these are items that are not part of our public hearing tonight, and we have two public hearings tonight, and items that are not on the agenda. Do we have? No? Okay. And I apologize, Taz, I didn't ask if we were ready to go. I should have, but. All right, the next item on the agenda is our reports. Is there any comments on our monthly reports for December? Okay, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for the approval of tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Councilman Campbell, seconded by Dr. Kenyon. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Consent agenda passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. It's public hearing of ordinance number 2021-776, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu agreement by and between Edgefield County, South Carolina, and Generac Power Systems Incorporated, providing for a pay of a fee in lieu of taxes, special source revenue credits, and other matters related thereto. And I would ask if there's anyone here tonight that would like to speak on behalf of this ordinance. All right, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is, that closes that public hearing on item number 1. Item number 2 is a public hearing of reading of ordinance number 2021-777, similar but a little different. An ordinance authorizing the development of a jointly owned and operated industrial and business park in conjunction with Aiken County. Such industrial business park to be geographically located inside Edgefield County and established pursuant to Section 41170 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended. To provide for the expenses of the park, the percentage of revenue, applications, and the distribution of fees in lieu of ad valorem taxation and other matters related thereto. I would ask if there's any members of the public here that would like to speak in reference to this public hearing. All right, seeing none, that public hearing is now closed. Now move on to old business. The next item on, first item under old business is consideration of approval of third reading of ordinance number 2021-776. That was the first public hearing. I read through the same thing just a minute ago, so I would just ask our county administrator and perhaps our economic development partnership president, Will Williams, if either of you would like to say something about this.
Mr. Chairman, there's been no changes since the second reading.
Okay, very good. I would entertain a motion to approve consideration of approval of third reading of ordinance number 2021-776.
So move approve the item of third reading.
Second.
Motion was made by Vice Chairman Talbert, seconded by Councilwoman Ireland. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That ordinance passes unanimously. Next item is consideration of approval of the third reading of ordinance number 2021-777. I just read the same thing a minute ago. I would just ask the same question if either our administrator or Mr. Williams has anything to say. Add.
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Seeing no change, I would entertain a motion to approve third reading of ordinance number 2021-777.
So move.
Motion's been made by Councilman Campbell, second by Dr. Kenyon. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That ordinance passes unanimously. Third item under old business is consideration of approval of second reading of ordinance number 2021-778, an ordinance to stay a contingent deed reversion to the county for 24 months. We heard a lot about this last month. I would just ask if there's anything new that we need to know, Mr. Administrator.
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's the same as last month.
Okay, thank you, sir. I would entertain a motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 2021-778.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made by Vice Chairman Talbert, second by Dr. Kenyon. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That ordinance passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we will move now to new business. First item under new business is consideration of approval for an option and purchase agreement with Generac Power Systems Incorporated. And I would just ask our county administrator to explain this. It's under our Exhibit 4.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This option and purchase agreement is for property owned by Edgefield County, tax parcel 175-00-00-081. It's located adjacent to the site of Project Bugle, as we commonly refer to it, and this would give them the option to purchase that property for a period of 10 years.
Okay, thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve this option and purchase agreement with Generac Power Systems. And I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion was made by myself and seconded by Councilman Campbell. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. And that option and purchase agreement was approved unanimously. Next item under new business is consideration of approval to provide utilities, internet, and other incidentals to provide office space for Generac Power Systems through July 1st. And I would ask our county administrator to explain this, please.
One of the things we were asked for is some temporary office space for their, they'll have some people coming in to set up, probably about a half a dozen, and they needed some temporary office space while renovations take place at their building, and requested that, that was part of the negotiations. They asked that the county furnish this for a short period of time. Mr. Williams talked with the town of Trenton. They have some office space there that they are allowing them to use rent-free. The only ask is that Edgefield County pay for the utilities and internet service, water, that type of thing to the building. And we will have a formal MOU for you next month for you to approve. But this will let us go ahead and get them in and authorize the payment of the electrical or the utility bills.
Thank you. Just to ask if anyone from council has any questions for the administrator. All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve to provide utilities, internet, and other incidentals to office space provided for Generac Power Systems through July 1st.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion was made by Vice Chairman Talbert, and I will second it. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That has passed unanimously. Third item under new business is consideration of approval to accept the roads and drainage easement in Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Governor's Landing into the Edgefield County road system. And this is under our Exhibit 5. I'll ask if our administrator has anything he would like to add, please.
Yeah, so this is the typical turning over a subdivision roads to the county so that there's continued maintenance on them and come under the county road system. Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Governor's Landing is built out. The code requires that prior to y'all taking, prior to them coming into the county system, at least 60% of the lots be occupied. That has occurred. The roadways and stormwater infrastructure was inspected by Cranston Engineering, which is the engineering firm the CTC uses, and was found in good condition. They also have put up a bond in the amount of $48,000 for the next 2 years for any repairs or improvement required during that time. This is all as the county ordinance outlines for the dedication of the roads.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I just ask, is there any questions for the administrator on that? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve to accept the roads and drainage easement in Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Governor's Landing into the Edgefield County road system.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Councilman Campbell, seconded by Dr. Kenyon. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. And that, did you raise your hand? Okay, that passes unanimously. Sorry, I just missed that. Okay, the next item, item number 4, is consideration of approval of ordinance number 2021-779. This is Exhibit 6, an ordinance to rezone certain previously zoned industrial development property located at 35 Rabbit Trail in Edgefield to be zoned general agricultural development. That's Exhibit 6. I'd ask the administrator if he'd like to elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, so the owner of 35 Rabbit Trail requested rezoning of this property to be rezoned from industrial to general development or general agricultural. We typically refer to it as GD. And the reason he wants to do this is because the industrial zoning district would not allow the retail sales. I believe it's going to be fixing cars and selling them and that type of thing. And it wouldn't be allowed in the industrial zoning district. So he's asking for it to be rezoned so that he will be able to accommodate this use. It's not untypical for this type of rezoning to occur, and this rezoning would be more in compliance with what the comprehensive plan calls for that location.
Okay. Thank you.
And it was unanimously recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the administrator on this?
Yes.
Dr. Kenyon?
So, you said the owner of 35 Rabbit Trail has requested zone. So right now, we do have, automotive out there, right? Shop out there, automotive shop?
Not at this location.
Okay, okay. That's what I
Not,
want.
this is across from the old Parkdale, and it's in the, right there in the curve.
Okay.
All right, seeing no other questions for the administrator, I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-779.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion has been made by Vice Chairman Talbot,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Campbell. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That ordinance passes unanimously. Number 5, under new business, is consideration of approval to provide 90-day notice of termination of medical director services agreement with Self Medical Group and termination of services following the 90-day notice. And I would ask our administrator, that is under our Exhibit 7, but if he has any comments he'd like to add to that.
I'm sorry, I was distracted, Mr. Chairman.
That's okay, we're on number 5. Just wondered if you had any comments about what's under Exhibit 7.
Yes, sir. Actually, 5 and 6 kind of go hand in hand, so if I may, if I could kind of address both of them at the same time. You know, we are always looking at how we can improve. And for years, we have had a board-certified family practitioner involving our medical control officer here in the county. The medical control officer is required by DHEC and gives all the standing orders, protocols, other instructions to our EMS employees. They can come on scene and take over the scene. There's just a lot of latitude there and authority that the medical control officer has over our EMS. And looking at it and talking to staff, prior to Raymond Batchelor retiring, he asked me about changing our medical control officer to somebody that had more of an emergency medicine background. At that time, Mr. Batchelor had about 3 months left before he retired, and to be quite honest with you, I told him I wasn't changing with him on the way out the door. The administration changed, and the new administration came to me and asked about changing it and getting somebody that is board certified in emergency medicine. I asked them, well, who would you have that would fit this bill? And Garrett Lynn, our EMS director, is here if you'd like to know how we came up with this name. But he went out and did a search and came back with this recommendation, and I looked at it, and Dr. Burbacher, or Dr. B, has a lot of experience in the EMS field. He was, not only is he board certified in emergency medicine, but he also teaches emergency medicine at Augusta University. He is responsible for the emergency medicine training over at Augusta University and developed and operates the emergency physician response vehicle, and that partnering with Augusta University would give us access to that vehicle. He has, like I said, a lot of experience. It partners us with the Level 1 Trauma Center in the area so that any major injuries, we have a connection to the hospital that we're taking them to. And he also has experience as a medical control officer. We reached out to other places that he serves in that capacity. Those included Aiken County Rescue in Burke County, Georgia. And we got glowing reviews from all of them. Everything that I've heard about him was good. We're not saying anything bad about the current medical control officer, but having somebody with emergency medicine board-certified emergency medicine, who actually started his career as an EMT. This is his specialty, would give our service and the citizens of the county better medical than a family practitioner.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Lynn, I appreciate you being here today. I just wondered if you'd like to come up and say anything about either number 5 or number 6, how you went through that process. You don't have to. I'll give you the opportunity if you want to. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, council, and thank you for the time for consideration. When we were looking to change our med control, being an EMS, emergency service is what we do. That's what we do for the citizens of this county, and we were looking for a physician that understood the challenges of EMS and ways that he could help improve our service. I had spoke with several other counties of who they use as med control, got mixed reviews for different physicians, but Dr. Todd Burbacher came back several times is a highly recommendation from those counties that he serves. I reached out to Dr. Burbacher. This has probably been within 2020. He was eager to meet with me. He enjoyed the opportunity to serve Edgefield County. He is willing to come on and help improve our services in any way that he can. But what I'm looking for is a physician that can improve. We have a great EMS service. I don't want to not discount that, but I would looking for a physician that can help better align us with the specialty that we're in, and that's emergency medicine. As Mr. Paradise said, his experience in emergency medicine he's been doing it for a long time, and he's got a lot of knowledge of how EMS systems work, the challenges they face, and is willing to come in and do an evaluation of our service and improve those services that we already provide.
Good. Thank you. Does council have any questions for Mr. Lynn? All right. Seeing none, thank you. Appreciate you being here, sir.
Chairman, one other thing is the contracts would be the same price. There's no change there.
All right. I do have a question for you, and maybe council might have another question before we consider a motion. If we were to approve number 5, but continue number 6, the current individual serving in that role serves for another 90 days, correct?
By contract, yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Good, Dr. Kenyon.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Council.
Lady first.
So I guess my question would be, are we doing 5 and 6 together,
No,
or we not? Okay, we just on 5?
yes.
Okay, well, Council.
Just a question, and I'm fine with the 90 days. I'm just wondering, should the motion include the opportunity for the administrator to shorten that 90 days if both parties agree to it? Or, and if whoever the new medical officer also agrees to it, if he can shorten that time frame that makes everybody happy. That's all I'm saying. Should we include that?
I think that would be fine if you want to amend the motion to include that.
Doesn't mean he has to do it. It just
90
says that
days or
opportunity
less.
would exist and that we don't have to vote on it. He could just do it if it suited all the parties.
So that's doable. I personally I think it would be best to fulfill the contract. This is my personal opinion, but all right. But you can word the motion however you choose to. So I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to have something to say before we move with the motion at this time. My concern is that seemed like here lately, Tommy been had a problem with Miss Masses, the Dr. Masses. And my concern is how many other people have we looked out for this position? Only one person, 2 or 3, or what?
Mr. Lynn explained the process he went through as far as me personally, I took the EMS director's recommendation.
Okay, you took the recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have another problem.
I feel like he is better situated at making that evaluation than I am because he works in that field.
Okay, I have another problem. Okay, seems like every time we hire somebody, appoint someone for a position, it's coming from Aiken or North Augusta. I mean, while I know South Region have people that qualify, I'm quite sure, why can't we look at some of them? Why, I seem like this may be you scratch my back and I scratch your back situation. Tommy, you can look like that if you want, but I talked with you about this issue the other day.
And I don't do backdoor dealings.
Yeah.
This is a level 1, this connects us to the level 1 trauma center here in our area. It is anybody that has significant trauma is going to this hospital that we are partnering with. Now, is there a gentleman at Self, anybody at Self that could do it? My understanding is there is a gentleman there, I recently learned, that has board certified in emergency medicine, that has a year of experience. So if I judge the two between a year's experience in emergency medicine versus what I have here, I would recommend Dr. Bierbacher.
I know. Okay, let me interject something now. I know that his resume, I have about 6 pages on it.
Yes, sir.
About 6. 6 pages of resume, never have got a job done. I want you to know that.
All right, sir.
So what I'm saying, we in with Self Regions. Why can't we find someone from up in Greenwood area? That seems like it would be fine. Have you talked with anyone specific?
That's where Garrett reached out to other medical control. He did that and brought this recommendation to me.
Okay, I'm going to just interject if I may for a minute. So we got two issues. The first one is the notice of termination for the current individual, and that's what we're discussing now. And then we'll get to number 6, which is entering into a contract with Mr. Bergbacher. So I would entertain a motion for approval to provide a 90-day notice of termination of the Medical Director Services Agreement with Self Medical Group and termination of services following the 90-day notice. Entertain a motion.
I'd like to make that motion with also the statement that we allow the administrator to negotiate it down to under 90 days, if possible, when we actually hire somebody or hire a new MCO. That's not a requirement, just he could.
Okay. Councilman Campbell has made a motion to approve the 90-day notice with the ability to reduce it if it's agreeable on both sides. That is the motion.
I'll second that.
And seconded by Councilman Ireland. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, opposed? Okay, the motion does carry 4-1. Number 6, which is the last item, is consideration of approval of entering into a contract for medical control officer services from Augusta University. And we've kind of discussed this. I would entertain a motion on this.
Since we're on number 6, are we giving the county administration time to elaborate on this, or have he already elaborated on it?
What, did you want to, is there more to elaborate on?
I put the 2 of them together because they were companions.
I
If you've got
think
any
it's,
questions, I'll be glad to answer.
there could be questions. So the motion could be to either approve, deny, or to continue.
But I'd like to make a motion to continue the approval of this contract until March meeting so that the council have more time to review what is going on.
Okay.
As far as, the young gentleman that came up before us to speak, I want you to know that I do agree with Mr. Tarver. It should be on any applicant, more than one. I definitely agree with that. And I definitely agree that we should consider thinking about our very own in-house.
Okay, so Dr. Kenyon has made a motion to continue consideration of approval of entering into a contract for medical control officer services from Augusta University. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been seconded by Vice Chairman Talbert. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, and that continuation passes unanimously. So, thank you very much. Mr. Lynn, thank you for being here. Mr. Batchelor, thank you too. It's good to see you. Next item on the agenda is comments from the public for issues which are not on the agenda. Is anyone signed up to speak today? Okay, no one has been signed up to speak, so the next item is additional items to report by our county administrator. Tommy, thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The Edgefield County Hospital audit's been completed and forwarded to our auditors. We anticipate our auditors making the audit presentation next month. Edgefield County was recognized by the Association of Counties Insurance Trust by receiving the first place award for the best reporting of our property and liability claims. City of North Augusta Planning Commission will be holding a public hearing on the draft West Martintown Road Corridor Study on February the 18th. We have hired Pamela Hahn for the Accounts Payable Payroll Clerk. She has a degree in Computer Science and Accounting from West Virginia University. She has over 20 years of experience in HR, payroll, benefits, and general ledger. All of the entrance signs have been installed with the exception of Highway 283. There's some site issues concerning the installation at the spot, and we're going to need to find another location. Edgefield County currently has 375 known COVID-19 cases, down from over 400, and we've had 32 deaths in the county from COVID so far. Our first responders now have the availability to receive the COVID-19 vaccination at Self Regional in Greenwood. The information necessary for making an appointment has been distributed by MA to the chiefs of the agencies. Self Regional is currently planning a COVID-19 vaccination distribution event in Edgefield County for those residents that are able to receive the vaccination in the 1A category. The time and date and location are still to be determined. This may be an interesting fact about COVID for you too. DHEC met last Wednesday to consider how to allocate the vaccines that we get. South Carolina gets about 74,000 vaccinations a week. The board decided to use a per capita method for allocation. This per capita method results in about 303 doses weekly for the residents of Edgefield County. There is some groups that are opposed to this. They feel like they should look at factor in the age and vulnerability of the residents, and had this been chosen, Edgefield County would be receiving about 541 doses per week. I recently learned that DHEC has community health workers that work in the underserved community. Part of their duties include providing COVID-19 information and saliva testing, but the Edgefield County position is currently vacant. I talked with the supervisor, Pamela Addison. As a result of this conversation, she is going to have community health workers from the adjacent counties start providing services throughout Edgefield County until one is hired. I also offered the posting of on our Facebook and our website. This is, to me, is an extremely important position that can help our underserved community in the county. Also, we have the new code enforcement officer and building and planning. I reached out to him, and he gave me some locations so these workers could go and target that group. 7 of our EMTs have completed the advanced EMT course. This is between the basic EMT and the top paramedic. The advanced EM course is pretty difficult too, but they took this course on their own time, and the course tuition and books was provided by a grant from Upper Savannah Cog and Piedmont Tech. So there was no cost to the county for this additional training of our staff. And staff has requested that Edgefield County be included in the Upper Savannah Cog's CDBG CV, which is the COVID virus grant request. This is a regional request with Greenwood County being the lead county, and we've requested specifically for Edgefield County 4 vehicles for the Sheriff's Department that would be resigned to reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission when transporting suspects, a replacement ambulance for an EMS, a full body scanner for the jail, and there's other assorted medical equipment for EMS. This grant does not require a match. And Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
Thank you, sir. Is there any questions for our administrator from any council members?
That DHEC position, that's funded by the state, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate that. All right. As far as my comments, I have 4, but I want to turn the first point over to Tiffany and highlight what was on the front page of the Aiken Standard. I don't know if you saw today's Aiken Standard.
We have some exciting news that
I
we...
want to let Tiffany talk about that.
We are so excited. Not for me, I didn't, but Aiken Co-op, let's just say kudos to Aiken Co-op for making this possible. Broadband is coming to Edgefield County, and Aiken Co-op will be bringing that to their service members to bring it to the underserved, the unserved, which, of course, Mr. Albert's district, we have predominantly that category, and we are just so excited. And I want to say what a testament this is to Aiken Co-op and their commitment to Edgefield County and to doing business here. Of course, we have another. There are other providers that had this opportunity and could have stepped up and did this, and they chose not to. But Aiken County, this bill was only passed a few months ago, right, Will? Just a few months ago, and they jumped on it, and now we have this incredible news, and it's exciting. It's not going to happen immediately. We've got infrastructure to get in place. It's going to take time, but people know it's coming, and this is a huge thing. And while if I may, one more point, I want to just thank Representative Bill Hickson. Really went to bat for first responders, law enforcement, EMS last week with DHEC. He made it possible so that our county's first responders could get that vaccine in Greenwood. And I want to personally thank him for going to bat for them. And I want to thank Susie, Garrett, and Tommy for their help in orchestrating all of this behind the scenes, that they've been working hard to get this clinic to come. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Tiffany. That's great progress. A lot of people have been working on that, so it's good news. The second point that I want to make of my 4 points is I just want to thank Will Williams and the Economic Development Partnership team, as well as everybody who's been involved with bringing Generac to Edgefield County. That's going to be huge. We went through the ordinances, but we didn't talk about it. It's 450 new jobs to Edgefield County. It's $57 million in new investment. It's just really a great thing. So congratulations to all who worked on that. Still a lot to go, but anyways, congratulations and thank you. Third thing is, a couple of years ago, we passed ordinances related to enterprise zones, and those are very, very important for many parts of our country and in our county. And I wonder if, Dean, if you would like to talk any at all about that and what we might do in the future in reviving that effort.
What I'll say is, of course, if you remember about 2.5 years ago now, we passed incentive zones in around the 3 towns, Johnston, Edgefield, and Trenton, to help incentivize commercial and local businesses to perhaps use the incentive money to help grow those areas around the towns. which need our help. And as I continually remind us that city residents pay county taxes too. So we want to help the towns. And because of that, we're going to sort of maybe put a little bit more effort into marketing those areas. And I've talked to the chairman about this and to Mr. Williams and the administrator. And we're going to look at some ways we might can market it that are, low-cost kind of things, no-cost kind of things that you can do to help maybe spur on the interest in the commercial and business world to locate more in Edgefield County, particularly with Generac coming in. I think that's a good motivation, momentum kind of sales thing we can use to help us build some momentum toward that. So that's what we're going to be working on.
Great, and thank you. And I'm sorry if I put you on the spot. I didn't mean to do that. But I think that was a great idea, and so I wanted to highlight that. And Stephen Gilchrist, who is the chairman of the South Carolina African-American Chamber of Commerce, this is something that he's really been focused on in the last year, and Dean is reaching out to him to bring him to come speak to us next month. The final thing that I just want to share is, as you all know, the LMO, we extended it by over 6 months to allow our constituents extra time to look into it during our time of COVID. And I think it's great that we had an extra 6 months for people to review it. And it's evident that a lot of people, even in the last week, are looking at it. And that's a great thing. I'm happy that there's a growing interest in that. I just want to encourage individuals to take the time to look at the map on our GIS site. You can make comments directly there, which feed to our planner. If you have questions, send an email directly to our planner. And also read the document. It is not a short document, but there's a lot of detail to it. Look at it. It is a draft. It is not passed. And we extended the ability for folks to look at it by, it would have been 3 months, about 90 days from it passing the steering committee for us to vote on it in July of last year. People basically have a year to look at it now, which is a great thing. So if you haven't looked at it, I would encourage you to look at it and direct your questions to the planning office. And with that, I would ask if there's any questions or comments for me from council.
Yes, I have one question, and that's to the administrator. Did we ever reach out to the young lady in the office, and I think it's Office of Parole, about the trash, because it's getting out of hand?
Mr. Duran, the code enforcement officer, I talked to him today about that, and they're supposed, first of all, I've talked to her about it in the parking lot, and they've been getting together, but actually they've got a meeting scheduled tomorrow to try to finalize that up.
Does he have any workers available to him at this time?
No, ma'am. The prison's on lockdown and COVID. There's just, that changed our plans for code enforcement. So what we're looking at doing is using probationers that would go out and say a mile would be, you pick up a mile of trash and it would be equal to X amount of hours of community service. And then he would go back after they picked up trash on Saturday or whenever and verify that the road had been cleaned and pick up the bags. That's how we're looking at doing that until we get inmates back from the federal prison.
If there are no other questions for me or the administrator, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made by Vice Chairman Talbert, second by Dr. Kenyon. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. We are adjourned. Thank you all. You all have a blessed night.